He commanded a $30 billion fortune and led an empire built on fear and misery. To the world, Pablo Escobar was the most dangerous criminal on the planet. But to Juan Pablo and Manuela, he was simply Papa, a man who sang them lullabies while hiding from the world's most powerful armies. One night, he burned millions of dollars just to keep his freezing daughter warm, even as his orders shattered thousands of other families. Did Escobar's children manage to wash away their father's sins? Or are they still paying the price for his name? Juan Pablo Escobar was born into a world where fear ran on a strict schedule. Instead of bedtime stories, he learned escape routes. To the world, his father was a danger, but to Juan Pablo, he was a man who valued family above all else. Yet outside the walls of their guarded homes, Colombia was in chaos. Sirens became the city's soundtrack, and adult conversations stopped the moment a child entered the room. Juan Pablo grew up surrounded by armed men who scanned rooftops for snipers instead of watching sunsets. Despite this, he remembers moments of warmth and laughter. This contradiction would follow him forever. The struggle of loving a father who played his role with devotion at home, while the world insisted he was a monster. A normal day didn't exist for him. Homes, names, and even friends were temporary luxuries. Often, Juan Pablo would wake in the dead of night to hurried whispers and packed bags. "We're leaving," they would say. No explanations, no goodbyes, just immediate movement. He learned early that safety was fragile and loyalty was never guaranteed. Yet, his father always reassured him, "As long as I'm here, nothing will happen to you." It was a promise made by a man who controlled armies, but ultimately couldn't control fate. 1993. That December brought the phone call that shattered Juan Pablo's teenage world. The massive manhunt was over. A special operation had finally cornered and neutralized his father on a Medellin rooftop. While the world found closure and Colombia breathed a sigh of relief, Juan Pablo's childhood came to a sudden, absolute end. In the first moments of grief, however, he almost became his father's successor. Overwhelmed by rage, he called a national radio station and vowed on live air to avenge his father and continue the war. But 10 minutes later, in a twist that would define his entire future, he called back. He retracted his threats, declaring he wanted only peace. But his father's enemies were not as forgiving. Juan Pablo was no longer just a grieving son. He was a target for powerful rivals who didn't care that the war was officially over. To survive, Juan Pablo claims they were forced to hand over their entire inheritance to these enemies, to buy their lives. The whispers of hidden millions have haunted the family ever since, leaving the world to wonder if they truly walked away with nothing. Immediate danger forced the family to run, but they quickly realized the world was closed to them. Country after country refused their entry, not because of anything Juan Pablo had done, but because of who his father was. The Escobar name had become radioactive. Doors slammed shut and protection vanished. As Juan Pablo later said with chilling clarity, "We were guilty by blood." Eventually, Argentina opened a door, allowing them to slip in, not out of mercy, but anonymity. And that is where Juan Pablo Escobar disappeared. In his place rose Sebastián Marroquín. With a new name and a new passport came a fragile hope for a normal life. He chose to study architecture, a discipline built on structure, order, and balance, everything his childhood lacked. For years, Sebastián lived in the shadows, avoiding interviews and mirrors that reflected too much history. But inside, a war raged. He was tormented by an impossible question. How do you reconcile loving your father with the pain he caused to millions? How do you mourn a man whose death the rest of the world is celebrating? He carried guilt without having committed a crime, and shame for a life he never chose. Eventually, Sebastián made a decision that shocked everyone. He chose to speak. His goal wasn't to defend or glorify his father. but to tell the truth from the only perspective the world hadn't heard, from inside the family. His book, Pablo Escobar, My Father, wasn't an excuse. It was an act of confrontation with history and himself. For the first time, he publicly acknowledged the dark legacy and accepted responsibility, not for the crimes, but for the burden of carrying the name. One of the most powerful moments in his life came when he met the families torn apart by his father's orders. There were no cameras chasing scandal, no dramatic gestures, just two sides of the same wound. He didn't ask for forgiveness, nor did he expect it. Instead, he simply listened. And sometimes, listening is the bravest thing you can do when silence has protected you for years. Later, he would state the sentence that defines his life. I am not responsible for my father's crimes, but I am responsible for what I do with his legacy. Juan Pablo didn't just speak. He built an industry around his survival. Today, he is a best-selling author of multiple books and even a graphic novel, launched recently in Barcelona. He travels the world giving lectures, has led peace tours through his father's old haunts in Colombia, and even launched a clothing brand, Escobar Henao, featuring his father's face. Some call it healing, others call it monetization. But one thing is undeniable: he is free. He lives openly in Buenos Aires with his wife and son, no longer running from the past, but selling tickets to it. But his sister chose a radically different path. One without books, without interviews, without clothing lines, and without explanations. Manuela was only 9 years old when her fairy tale turned into a nightmare. Overnight, the daughter of the king became the daughter of a fugitive. The Cali cartel, her father's ruthless rivals, demanded millions in compensation for Pablo's crimes, stripping the family of their safety net. They ran. But the world had closed its doors. No country wanted to grant asylum to the widow and children of a man responsible for thousands of lost lives. It is said that her mother even pleaded with the Vatican for help, but the answer was silence. They wandered like ghosts through Mozambique, Brazil, Ecuador, and Peru, before finally finding a shadow to hide in: Argentina. To survive, the little girl named Manuela had to die. In her place, Juana Manuela Marroquín Santos was born. Argentina accepted them only because their new papers successfully hid their connection to the Escobar bloodline. For a brief moment, there was peace. Her mother worked in real estate and Juana went to school, tasting a life her father could never buy: normalcy. But in 1999, the illusion shattered. Their true identities were exposed, and her mother and brother were arrested on charges of money laundering. Although they were later acquitted for lack of evidence, the damage to Manuela was permanent. The trauma of being discovered broke her. She refused to return to school, retreating into home education, and eventually, into total isolation. To understand her pain, you have to understand her childhood. Her father loved her with a twisted, unlimited power. Once he told her, "Your eyes are worth $1 billion, my princess." But his love could be grotesque. When Manuela asked for a unicorn, Pablo didn't buy a toy. He took a white horse and stapled a cow's horn to its head and wings to its back. The animal later died from infection, but Pablo had succeeded in making his daughter smile for a moment. Just like the horse, Manuela was forced into a fantasy world that was doomed to collapse. She witnessed attempts on her father's life and survived the freezing nights where he burned millions just to keep her warm. These memories formed a woman who now fears the light. Today, unlike her brother who writes books and speaks in documentaries, Manuela has vanished. She is a ghost. No social media, no photos, no public statements. Unconfirmed rumors place her in North Carolina, working quietly as an electrical engineer under yet another false name. But the truth is likely darker. According to her brother, she lives in constant fear that her father's enemies will one day find her. She has battled severe depression and struggled with the will to live, haunted by a debt she never borrowed. Juan Pablo and Manuela represent two opposite reactions to the same trauma. The brother chose to face the monster, believing that truth is the only way to be free. The sister chose to hide from it, believing that silence is the only way to be safe. One became an architect of peace. The other became a prisoner of fear. Pablo Escobar thought he could buy his children the world. He believed his billions would be a shield. But in the end, the wealth evaporated, and the shield became a target. The only true inheritance he left them was a choice: to live as a public apology, or to live as a hidden fugitive. That night in the mountains, he burned $2 million to keep his daughter warm. It was a gesture of ultimate power. But looking at Manuela's life today, a life spent in shadows, hiding from her own name, we have to ask, did that fire save her? Or did it merely illuminate the cage she would never escape? If you were in their shoes, which path would you choose? The brave confession of the son, or the silent exile of the daughter? Write your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story moved you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more forgotten histories.